I hear the voices inside my head. See voices behind the wall, uplifting the underdog. We fighting above the law.
Hey everyone. I made Anissa and Miss Robin mods for tonight. I wanted to make sure that BullHorn Betty felt comfortable being over here and made sure that she knew she'd be, she's got her peeps protecting her too. So we're good. Even Steven's here, and make sure, of course, we do the 3-strike rule here. So if they say something nasty, delete the comment. If again an adult says something nasty, delete the comment and time them out. And then if it happens again, they're getting blocked, and then whatever. But if they're like off the rocker nasty right away, we can just block them tonight, because that's not what we're here for. And hello, gorgeous.
Hey guys. Just to let you know, I was perfectly fine here, but since you gave me 2 mods, I utilized them the best I could.
Yeah, no, there's when I go on other people's panels, they ask me that, and I'm usually
I never even thought to. So now I feel like I was been uncourteous to all the people that came on my panel.
No, yeah, and I was like, you and I are just hated enough where I'm like, I want to make sure she feels comfortable. So let's see if she wants anyone modded for tonight. So
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
There is so much, and I want to ask you so much, but we've got a lot of new bullshit I think we should dive right into.
Well, just before we do, I wanted to give everybody an update. Since I am here, might as well, because this is just breaking. I just did a video on it. Dylan Rounds, his neighbor, was just arrested, and he was squatting in a trailer 5 miles away from his home. He wasn't arrested related to Dylan Rounds' case, but he did get arrested on gun charges. He is a felon, and he gave his friends some guns after law enforcement interviewed him. So it's a little sketchy, but definitely to me feels like it's a major break in the case.
Wow.
So just wanted to throw that out there.
So that is some great news on what Dylan, I've seen his case going around with some of you guys.
Yeah, the neighbor's name was James Brenner. But it makes you wonder, was that the creepy guy walking down the road with no shoes? Because there's nothing around there. So it would have to be somebody that was semi-close. And to find out he's only 5 miles away, it might have been the kooky guy that was trying to get a ride and use his cell phone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you know the Jacob Wetterling case very well, but again, I think that guy ended up being just a couple miles away too. Like that happens. It's so terrible. It happens. But Cotton Candy Boobs, hi everyone coming in. So there was a lot, there's so much. So we'll definitely be inviting her back, and Mr. Cher wants to have her on too, because I have Gabby Petito questions, and of course so much Dawn and Candace Wells and everyone that surrounds just Hawkins County mysteries here with our Summer Wells I call her my little sister. She's somebody special in all of our hearts, but in the last 24 hours, there has been some nonsense released, and I don't even know where to start with that. I just don't know. Everyone knows I've never been a fan of Jody Sue. I never was the one to kiss her ass, which is why she badmouthed me right off the bat. But I just always assumed she was just trying to get attention. Let me start a YouTube channel. And her exact words was, if anyone is going to make money off Summer, I'm the one who deserves to. We all heard that, right? So
find out this.
Terrible what she just said. And I have always been on the stance that Summer was failed by multiple people, and Jody Sue being one of them, because I don't know how I've said it, you can't spend 5 minutes on a video call or on a phone call or face to face like BullHorn Betty has been with this man and walk away from a situation thinking they have nothing to do with this. Like, you just don't walk away with a good feeling from these people at all. It's bad energy, even virtually, is all I've had. And I never ended a conversation with them thinking these guys are innocent, completely innocent. I could never get there. I know what I said, but I had to play a role and a part to get close to Don.
And quite frankly, I didn't see your stuff until recently. And there was, I've been talking to you about that one interview, and I thought you were very clever in the way you approached that. And you really did. You didn't ask the tough questions like I would have asked, but you got the questions asked and you got them answered. So,
Yeah, I always wanted to steer him off. I knew there was a narrative, and so I would throw like off the wall things and people would never understand. Like, well, why did you say that? Why did you? People were very upset because I said to Don on purpose. But I mentioned, is that when you killed Summer, or I specifically mentioned something because I wanted to throw him off, and he did. He caught it right away. When what? When Summer what? It's like, okay. I just wanted to see your reaction when, you're throwing a curveball. And yeah, people would come for me and just bash me for that. It's like, you guys, you have to throw things off the wall to him to see what is Don's real reaction going to be. Yeah.
Right. And people don't understand that. And I think that had a lot to do with the reason why we showed up. Part of the reason why we showed up unannounced at his job site while he gave us the runaround. And he definitely did not expect us to show up there. But seeing how nervous both of them were, looking them dead in their eye, and they had no place to run, they called the cops, and the cops are like, they're within their rights. That we can't do nothing. They're following the law. We can't move them out of here. We can't tell them to leave. And he's just like, and he finally had to look us eye to eye, and it just that vibe, that feeling, looking at Candace dead in her eyes, looking at him. Watching her hands just a shaking. Everybody's like, oh, probably, alcohol. Well, it's funny because her hands were working just fine before we started yelling at her.
Yeah. No, y'all threw them off. They didn't know what to do.
They didn't know what to do.
Oh, shit. This isn't in the script.
We were wanting to see if they would, being confronted with this. We wanted to see if their emotional level would rise, because usually when somebody is confronted, they break and they're like, I don't know what happened to her. You're expecting that break. There was nothing. There was nothing.
You guys kind of had that with your outcome at the Gabby Petito, right? With Brian Laundrie's sister was like finally pressured, and she actually spoke. Yeah, everyone was shocked. I remember that.
Even Brian Enton called me on my phone. He's like, did you guys just interview, Brian Laundrie's sister? I'm like, yeah, Cassie, we just interviewed her. And he's like, can I get that interview? And so, we because, JLR is associated with Actual Press Company, a media company, it kind of went through them. And then, News Nation had to speak with Original Media Group to get access to that video. And when we went back and saw it, he's like, Brian Enton actually said, I don't know if I would have thought about those questions to ask that on the draw. He was, basically gave JLR a big pat on the back, like, kudos, boy. And I have to say that's kind of for Brian Enton.
That is awesome. I mean, we all, I call us reporters. I don't know. I know everyone like creators, reporters, and I look up to certain reporters. So if, let's say, Barbara Walters said something like that for me, or Nancy Grace, I'd be like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm doing something right here. Like, yes, so that's awesome. Screw the haters that like to talk about that.
Everybody loves Brian Enton, but I remember sitting in front of the Laundrie's house, and he's like, I don't know what to do with all this hate. Like, he was getting pounded with some hate. He was growing his base and everything, and we were watching him basically grow before our eyes, and he has, believe it or not, the same problems we do.
Wow, that's terrible. And he seems just so nice.
He is. Oh, he's fabulous. He's very down to earth guy. What you see is what you get. Like, the way he acts on TV is the way he acts to you in person. He's just a nice, kind guy.
Now, I know he did a interview one-on-one with Donald too. That was an interesting. The vibes there was just so interesting. If you guys watch that, if you haven't, you have to, because that it gives me the chills over any interview. Is how he was acting with Brian, another guy there face to face. That's like, yeah, Don
and
changed
Don told
his
him
mind.
he could come to the house, and then
Yep.
he couldn't come to the house.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can go.
That
And
had
then
to
it came
have been,
time.
that had to have been weird for Brian. He had to said, "There's something going on here."
Yeah. Oh, that. Yeah. I wonder how he would have felt actually walking. I wish Don would have let him. Like, why did Chris McDonough get to do that, but not Brian Eaton? That's weird. Because that was after, right?
Candace.
That's right.
And Don fled. And then after that, Candace wasn't allowed to speak to anybody anymore. Don took over the media stuff. And after that, you know, that's what I presume.
Yeah. Hello, everyone coming in. YouTube really got really real last night. Oh, yeah.
But did it? But did it?
Did it? Yeah, did it or didn't it? Exactly. But okay, where to even start since you guys keep bringing up Jody Sue. She was very upset when I called. Was it last week when I called TBI and they said exact words to me when I specifically called because she has been going around on her platform and others saying she's been cleared. So I wanted to call because, as everyone knows, I've been in heavy contact with law enforcement and TBI throughout this. And so I called. I was like, so, you know, if you guys don't want misinformation out, it would be helpful if, you know, TBI and law enforcement are telling certain people they're cleared. Do you think that you guys could make a statement or do some kind of press release so that helps on the social media and curb a lot of misinformation? And they said, ma'am, there's nobody been cleared and we are still investigating every avenue. Was exactly what I was told. No one's been cleared and we are investigating everybody and every avenue is what they said. So, and that's from TBI. So she's a liar right off the bat. We've known this, but.
Yeah. And that's what gives me pause to this new revelation, because we know that Andy, now this is my theory. I'm just going to throw this out there.
Yeah.
We know Andy has been peddling. He's not doing an interview unless he gets, you know, a few $100, $400-$500. So I'm curious as to whether, you know, crowdfunding or crowdsource Illuminations paid him the money for that interview. The interview was benign in nature, but again, you know, Jody Sue and him aren't talking because of that protective order, which in my opinion, by her being in that chat, she violated.
She broke it.
She put him in danger. I don't know which way the protection order goes, but you can't, if you say you're in fear for your life of this person and you go and chat just to antagonize this person, then you're violating your own protection order. You know, and I just kind of, I don't know how I feel about that, but either way, I think she didn't know what was going on because they can't talk. So even if Piper didn't pay him any money, Jody Sue's first thought is, oh my God, he was able to get an interview. He got that money. And she was probably so butthurt. You know, she's sitting at home with the kids. She had just got her paycheck from YouTube, or YouTube funds are probably down because, you know, she disappeared for a day or two, if I'm not mistaken. She was supposed to go live and didn't go live. Yeah, wasn't that after the paycheck she received?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't want to speculate here, but, you know, I think she thought he had acquired money, and maybe he did. I don't know, and I really don't care.
Right. And I was thinking about that because I can back exactly what you're saying. I've seen with my own eyes where he has wanted no less than $400 to talk. So I know that that's true. But then I thought about it after our conversation this afternoon. I was like, okay, so let's say she paid him about $400 or even less. She paid him any amount of money. If it led to something that could potentially help with Summer, okay, well, then you invested on finding answers for Summer. I guess I would talk it away like that. So I wouldn't be so... I don't like people paying for interviews. We know this, but I would talk it away if something useful came out of it. I'd be like, okay, well, at least that was money well spent. We got somewhere for Summer. That interview there was nothing. Like there was no, I listened to it like 3 or 4 times today. There was no real questions answered.
There was
or
nothing.
asked.
It was all
No.
BS. It was very
Kissing his
benign.
butt.
Just watching the man sweeping a driveway. Like there was no content from that conversation outside of having a conversation.
No, yeah. So I don't I'm hoping she didn't pay for that because that was not useful whatsoever. So whatever, I mean, whatever. Spend your money however you want, but you won't find me doing that.
Mm-mm.
And then Jody Sue quickly going live to combat, which I don't even know why, because again, he didn't say anything.
It has to do with she thinks he got paid. She
has to be.
She's probably saying you haven't paid me for these kids.
Yeah. Yeah, it has to be that
money over here.
Yeah, because he didn't say anything useful, and he certainly did not badmouth her, nor did he even want to bring her name up. It didn't seem
he
like.
He didn't want to talk about her at all. He didn't want to had nothing to do with her on that live. He ignored her. He didn't address her. He didn't engage. He was like, oh, well, apparently this is what she does. This is her MO. When she doesn't like somebody, she attacks them. And so that's what gives me problem with her story, because all of us, to be honest with you, let's be honest here. We all kind of thought everything she said, from the essay to the substances to these things. We've all thought that. We've all speculated on that for an entire year. And so to hear it come out of her mouth, we're like, oh my gosh, she's got to be telling the truth. But is she? We also know she lies. She's vindictive. Right. Obviously she was butthurt, because if she wasn't, she wouldn't have immediately tried to hijack his live with, his collaboration with another YouTuber. And that's exactly what she did. So it makes me wonder, is anything because the animalistic screams weren't true, what else did she say that wasn't true?
Animalistic, but not animalistic. Whatever the fuck that means.
Slamming, the fact that she's been hyper vigilant at that time because there was a property dispute, and then we find, and everybody was awake and paying attention, and then we find out, no, you weren't. You were in bed sleeping.
Right. Because I swear the very first time I heard her talk about that, she said they heard the scream, and then that they were all laying in bed and watching TV. And because whenever Baltimore wasn't home, it was a good time. So her and her kids lived it up, whatever. But she said they were all laying in the bed there with something on the TV. And I remember being pissed because she said she heard the scream. And then she waited around like no one really checked on the scream. She made it sound like 30 minutes or so had gone by before she ever went outside to see what that scream was about. And I'm like, what? And now that's changed drastically. So
because
it's like,
we have the text messages between her and Andy, and she actually heard the noise at 2:34. Actually, at 5:30, she's texting him and says, I'm gonna go chat with the kids, as if nothing happened. That's at 5:30 in the afternoon. Now she's trying to say that this animalistic type scream happened at 4:30. Why aren't they all jumping up and down at 4:30? Why is she just now talking to the kids at 5:30? None of it makes sense. And she was meeting Andy at the bottom of the driveway, not to hang out, not to go home, but for her to be picked up so they can go out.
Yeah. 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 So
I can't make this shit up.
Let me see if I can find. Emma, I'm going to pull up your video because it was one of the last ones I watched, just so we can hear. Unfortunately, I want us to hear it again because it's
like chalk, like fingers on a chalkboard.
There's a lot of times where I've tried to listen through things, and like she's NyQuil for me. She puts me to sleep. I catch myself nodding off listening.
Here, let me do a Jody Sue. Let me do a Jody Sue. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
She's always got something playing that she's watching on the side. Hello. Yeah, just forget that you're live streaming for like a good 20 minutes and then come back.
So guys, put a 1 in the box if I did a great Jody Sue. Did I do a great Jody Sue impersonation or what?
We'll pull up. Dun, 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 dun. We'll pull up Emma's. We'll pull up Emma's one. Okay.
I love Emma, my girl. Crime Stories obsessed. You rock.
Yeah, she does. And I can't believe the nasty things that some of the people have said about her. Like Allie has said some outrageous shit about Emma. It's terrible.
Oh man, nobody can get a break in this community.
Oh.
Lord have mercy. She's like the nicest person out there.
They're all saying ones. Yeah, it was a pretty dead on.
Didn't even have to really do anything.
Okay, there, put this on full screen here. Let's hear these words from her mouth again. Thank you to True Crime Stories Obsessed.
Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're well. This is Emma, you're at Crime Stories Obsessed. And we're going to be talking today about, in regards to the Summer Wells case and the neighbour at 110 BenHill Road, or neighbours at the time before Summer went missing, were Jodie Sue Brown and her partner, Andy Bernard. So last night, Andy Bernard appeared on Crowdsource Investigations. I think that's the name of the channel. And he was talking to the lady that ran the channel. Jodie was not impressed. She could tell that she wasn't impressed with Andy being on the channel. And so she went live then at the same time. And she had questions for Andy. I'm guessing she can't speak to him because they've got some kind of protective order, but I'm sure that that's been breached at some point or another. Anyway, let's listen to what she had to say, because I think, guys, you will find this quite interesting. But let's just ask, though, why now? Why now, after 12 months?
Y'all will go over there and ask why exactly it is he was selling drugs to the children at 110.
Wait a minute. She's saying,
Okay, so like Emma just said, why now? Why in 1 year and 2 weeks is she just now bringing this up?
Now let's flip that around too. If she's not being vindictive and this
Right.
is true, wouldn't she be complicit in this? Because clearly she knew, and she's
Right.
kept her mouth shut. This didn't just happen. She didn't just learn of this since the protective order was in place. She didn't just learn of this yesterday when she opened her thing.
No, she says she's been knowing about it. So you said, sorry, that makes my stomach hurt. You're gonna sit there right down the hill and allow this to go on, and then you want to sit up there on your little pedestal and use domestic violence as why you never spoke up or why you didn't protect sorry, this make me sick. Why you didn't protect that poor little girl when you are a victim that you love to say victim. I can't even call you a survivor because you love to use the word victim so damn much. It's annoying. But as a survivor and someone who did be with someone who tried to kill them and tried to kill even multiple exes after me, like this is a very dangerous man, record all over the computer to find. You're going to tell me that you would allow a child, knowing that she's being sedated and raped, let's just call it what it is, and raped, and you're going to continue to allow that to happen, and also to the other little kids. Now, the reason why I think, and I'm just going to be blunt now, just because I say this and I have a guest on here does not mean she agrees with what I am saying, but I almost think that you did know. I kind of believe what you're saying because you're trying to like backpedal on it now. But
Yeah.
you were just so happy it wasn't you and your kids being victimized that you were okay allowing it to happen to her. Because I have stood up for animals and children being abused. That's when I have no problem. Punch me again, knock my ass out, but don't put your hand on that dog or any of the kids. Hit me again all you want. So get the fuck out of here with that. That's disgusting.
And like I
You
said,
should lock it up.
that's why I said when I came in, people, we've been thinking this whole time. We've been speculating that this type of conduct has been happening this entire time, and we never had anybody vocalize it. And then the person that finally does break is one of the people that have lied to the public so much that it's like it's hard not to believe. In the same sense, it's almost too hard to believe.
Right.
And so we're still at this crossroad, in my opinion, where is it true? Or was she just being a vindictive bee, toward Andy because he scored an interview with another creator? I don't know, but we've all speculated something unsavory was going on in that home, and something unsavory happened to little baby Summer Wells, but we never heard of it from anybody. And when I heard it come out of her mouth, whether I believed it was true or false, no matter which way it is, whether it's true or it's false, she is a piece of shit.
Yes.
Because if this was going on and she didn't report it, she allowed young children. Now let's put this in perspective. She allowed her ex to induce, a state of euphoria for a young child so they can be SA'd.
Yep.
And she's sitting home, or was in the home at the time that this was going on, knew it was going on, she's the one that deserves to make money off of Summer Wells, but she never protected her.
Right.
Things were going on.
That's out of her own mouth, you guys. This is what, let's say you support her and you believe what she's saying. She's saying she sat by and allowed this to happen to Summer and her brothers for who knows how long. I'm going to guess the entire 5 years Summer was around there.
And never mind, acknowledge selling substances to the boys, these young kids. And you're going to say that you're the martyr? Oh, well, why don't you go ask him this? No, babe. Why don't we ask you, what in the hell have you been doing with this information? Why has this just now coming out a year later, just like the animalistic screams came out 5 months later? Oh, but not.
Like, I'm curious, where did all the money? So we're to believe that Dawn and Candace had enough money to support their habits, because let's be honest, they had habits. Admittedly, they had told me, and I've witnessed it. We've all witnessed it and seen it. And then they're also supplying for at least one child, 2 children, actually, because we're told the oldest and Summer, right? So, like, they were just supplying the whole household with these drugs all the time. Like, who has the money for this? Or is that, again, as we know from my childhood and what we all assume from this case, is that children were probably used as payments for that.
And think about if this is true, the implications it will have on Summer's disappearance, because many even people in my room have speculated that, this seems a little odd that it's coming so close to the child. They knew they were having an appointment with those with the Department of Children's Services within 24 hours of that day, and she just so miraculously disappears. And if this story is true, it kind of weaves that, that net of, was she disposed of? So because she had evidence, she was evidence. And Jody Sue just sat by and let it happen, by the way.
Right.
According to her own statements out of her own mouth, that she's now deleted the video and is now trying to backtrack.
All right. Well, let's play through this some more. And thank you, Huda. I want to know why Jody Sue Brown was collecting money to send her son away in November. She said her son was receiving threats. Oh, yeah, but if I'm not mistaken, he's at that trailer with her. I don't know. I really have no idea.
I would not be giving that woman money. Just saying.
No, you guys, I've said this before. You're paying. We actually have a legit suspect, and now not just a suspect or a witness in this case. Like criminally, she is a suspect in law enforcement's eyes. You can count on that being true. Okay, I asked them a week ago. They said yes. I saw witness or suspect. Yes. So she's a suspect and or witness, whatever you want to say. And now she's actually saying she witnessed and did nothing of the abuse on all of these children on that hill. That's terrible. I don't understand how people can get behind someone like that. Let's say she is lying. Again, like BullHorn Betty and Mr. Cher, first thing he said was, well, she's a piece of shit even if she is lying. If she is just making this all up for attention and views or whatnot, she's a piece of shit. And that's disturbing that she would even say something like that.
And TBI has come out. You and I talked about this, about creators injecting false narratives in this case to intentionally thwart the case.
Yeah.
And, it's hard to believe they're not directing those conversations to people like Jody Sue.
Terrible. Let's hear what else this nasty bee says.
that her ex-partner, Andy, was selling substances to Candace. Not just smoking substances. This we're talking about is harder substances than that.
Why he was potentially causing little girls over there to be sedated and to be touched.
But she's aware that he's selling this to Candace. And not just to Candace, for Candace, or for Dawn, but for the children as well. Why would they need, Candace, substances for the children? Was it to keep them quiet so we don't have this situation?
Summer, what are you doing? Did you have that in your face?
Summer, stop. I did it.
Summer, what are you doing? Did you have that in your face?
Summer, stop. I did it.
An overexcitable Summer who absolutely loves
One of
the
our photos.
I was gonna say, I think that's when she's filming you guys. Oh my gosh, I can't. Okay, so he was selling to the children and to Candace
But
for
look
the
at that
children.
child running around. I just want you guys to see, Summer was full of life first and foremost, but her actions that I just saw was actions of a young child wanting attention
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
misbehaving to get the attention that she was seeking. That's what I saw in that video.
And probably a little sugared up too. And yeah, just wanting attention. Poor girl.
life and love to be fun and, happy and running around. Was she too much for them?
I've been getting paid
Yeah, probably.
$1,000 a month,
There's a
not
couple of
more,
those.
just from this app on my phone.
You're gonna get in the face. Oh my god. Do another one. Girl, your ass about to get hit in the face.
Who knows?
What?
With the shit he was selling them. Go ask. Because I have fucking questions.
You have questions, Jodie. We all have questions. She's
Yeah.
saying that over there at 110 BenHill Road, the children were being touched. The little girls were being touched. Now let's just remember that there's only one little girl living at one little girl living at 110 BenHill Road. So what does she mean by girls?
Okay, just remembering back, I've had some conversations with Robin, and Robin specifically told me that when Summer's case went on the news and everything, Robin's husband flipped out on Robin saying, "Oh my God, that's where you've been bringing our daughter." Apparently he didn't even know where the Wells were, and that he was very pissed that Robin was over there all the time with their daughter. And that when this went on to the news and he found out the location and everything of where Robin's been hanging out with, he totally lost his shit, I guess. And that's what Robin told me. But she's had her daughter over there a lot, you guys, and she's told me this several times. So that makes me nervous if this is going on. And we have church members over there hanging out with them all the time and bringing their little girls over there too. That's just terrible. Might be Jodie Sue Brown daughter. I don't know. I don't know, but we do know there's been other girls there because there was supposed to be another girl spending the night there. Yeah, and she didn't end up spending the night because of the rumors we all know. I'm not going to repeat, but yeah, it's just terrible. And I don't know what to make of that. If this is all true, why would church members be supporting something like this? That's
Well, I
gross.
can see in all practicality, I can kind of see church members wanting to, congregate around the unsavory household. I mean, I can see it. You're not to judge. You're to pray over these people. You're to help them. Those things. So I'm not quite convinced with that. I would hope that anybody that brought their child over there from the church had their child literally sitting next to them. you know, but at the time there weren't a lot of walls in the house, so
Right.
gives me a little piece.
Yeah, that's true. You could see everywhere in there. Yeah,
Yeah,
I just probably wouldn't bring my daughter.
bathroom in the house, like from these church people. They probably didn't stay very long.
Mm. Hi, that's what I'm on.
Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure what little girls. Now, didn't Jody Sue once say too that she was always protecting her daughter? Didn't she say there was like a peeping Tom? Oh, I thought they were looking at me, and it turns out they were trying to look in on my daughter or something like that.
Did the silhouette look like Don Wells?
I don't remember. I'm pretty sure that's what she said, but yeah, I'm pretty sure she was saying it was Don.
Sick guy. Just a sick pup.
Well, I think she means Summer's little friend that lived not far away, and we'll get into that in a minute.
And I found about a few days before all the shit went down. I'm not kidding, dude.
Why now after 12 months? Do the TBI know? Why did you stand back and allow this to happen?
Right.
Not standing in front of him anymore. Not standing in front of him anymore.
So what, she was scared of him. She wasn't standing in front of him, and she's not standing in front of him anymore, so she can open up. She can say what she knows, yeah? So she's got receipts that just a couple of days before Summer went missing, she was aware that there was things going on at that house, that her partner was selling substances to that address for the children, that it was for the children as well as for Candace, and she knew that little girls were being touched over there days before Summer went.
So she said, yeah, so she said days. So she knew about this for days before Summer went missing and did nothing. That is sick, Jody Sue. Jesus. It's sick to know for 1 minute that something like that, to even have that thought that could be going on over there. Yeah.
Dude, that thought. If you really thought something was unsavory as a female of all people, as a mom that gave birth to children, you would think that she would, if she knew that was going on, she would have put a stop to it. Not just let it go and then, oh, well, he pissed me off, so here, let me spill the beans a year later.
Yeah, that's
garbage. She's garbage. Just garbage.
I don't know how you're gonna get, like, what can you say now, Jody Sue? Because I know you're already trying to backtrack, which is ridiculous. And actually, I did think I heard her double up on what she's saying. So I mean, there's that. So you are, still standing by what you said, which is even more disturbing. That you just sat by, in your own words, for days before and did nothing. Well, you knew this little girl was being harmed. And if she's being harmed around, I mean, did you really think she was going to survive this? With these people? Like, for real? I just feel like Jody Sue should be locked up now, just for even opening her mouth last night or this morning or whenever it was. It was a 10.5-hour live, but
when did she sleep? What was she on?
That's what I don't know, because then she put that one to private and then she went on for another 2 hours. So I don't know when she sleeps. I have no idea. I mean, I know that she liked to get pills from Don and Candace, as well as cocaine from Don and Candace. I know what she liked to do when Andy would take off for like 8-9 days at a time with his other bimbos. And when, she wouldn't have money or Candace wouldn't have money, I know how she was, paying her debts to Don for her use. So, I mean, I don't know.
You know what? And it makes me go a little step further. If she allows this to happen to kids across the street, what is she allowed to happen in her own house?
Yeah, I was wondering that. Yep, yeah, my thoughts exactly, because she talks a lot about, well, I had to protect my kids. I'll do whatever it takes to protect my kids. Okay, well, cool. but could you also not protect the kids that are 100 feet away from you? Because see, I don't know your thinking to be okay with knowing that's happening and say nothing or do nothing. Because if I was that neighbor, I'm risking getting shot or whatever because I'm going up on that hill and I'm not leaving without all of them kids in my car and I'm driving to the police station or what. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm doing something. I'm putting myself at risk to try and protect those children. That's just the type of bitch I am. I insert myself because those kids obviously didn't have nobody else inserting themselves or being a voice protecting them. Nobody around them, not grandma, not the neighbor, not any of the neighbors. There was nobody. These kids had no prayer.
Sad.
Yeah. It's so frustrating. I cannot believe that the stupidity that surrounds this area, yet we still have no answers.
Yeah. This is the most frustrating thing, and many of you know I really haven't looked too much into Jody Sue. The only reason why I'm actually paying attention to her is because every time I turn around, BullHorn Betty's this horrible, despicable person that goes to hell in Rogersville, Tennessee. And if I come back there, she's going to take care of me. Well, I've been back a few times, woman. Haven't seen you once. Wasn't tracking you down because I think you have no relevance whatsoever. Everything that comes out of your mouth is a lie. And I just did this skit on her. Jody Sue, quit lying to everyone, please, and thank you. And then here, literally a day later, she's spewing this, probably just a few hours after that that was released. She's spewing this this whole other thing, and it's like, so which is it? Nothing happened or something happened? Like, she goes from hot to cold. How can you follow her? And she's calling me stupid, and I don't know anything about the case. Well, apparently you don't either, babe.
Right. Let's call everyone stupid. They don't know what they're talking about, but I'm not going to tell them what would be most important information until 1 year and 2 weeks later. Get real, Jody Sue.
Well, I'm pissed off at my ex.
Yeah, I'm pissed off at your ex, which it's so funny to me because I listened to his interview a couple times as well. And again, he doesn't say anything of any real substance in that interview, you guys. He doesn't. You're not missing anything if you don't watch it. Like, I'm being honest. Like, cool, he was on a panel, whatever. Like, but the way she reacted, like, BullHorn Betty's got to be right. It has to be that the jealousy or that she knows that he got some money for whatever, because he didn't say anything. She shouldn't have got that mad and went off like she did because he said nothing. He really didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So
and guys,
that's
just to let you know, to save your ears, like, I watched it. It was putting me to sleep. I have to be honest with you. There was nothing there. It was a nothing burger. And it doesn't justify Jody going on this crazy tyrant and just rage on the computer. She was raging on the computer. She does it calmly, but you could see she got pissed. She got pissed off all over her face.
She's probably live right now. Or hopefully she's sleeping. Okay, no, not yet.
What do you mean? She was up for 12 hours yesterday, probably 24. She's still going.
Gosh. Does she say, I think, let's see if she says anything else.
And I got the fucking receipts on it. And I'm sure law enforcement does as well.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure
right
law
there.
enforcement does.
Right.
What?
It's they do or they don't. Like
you should be the one calling law enforcement, telling law enforcement what your ex did, what you saw, what you know out of his mouth. That is firsthand. That's not hearsay when you're talking to a suspect or somebody that just committed a crime and they confess to you. That's no longer hearsay. That is firsthand knowledge out of that person's mouth. That could be used in a court of law. And you're sure, if you didn't tell them, I'm sure they don't know.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Andy didn't tell them. So it should be Law enforcement knows this. I turned it over, but that's not what she's saying, guys. She's sure law enforcement must know about this because she has receipts. Well, did she turn the receipts in? Because apparently she's got text messages and word of mouth.
Oh, before you start this again, I want to talk to you about her receipts that she never shows. She always says she has these things, but never actually produces them. And here's a prime example. So JLR actually went out there. He was heading to a rally somewhere near there or something. So he actually went through there. And that was the night that he did the one where he turned his lights off to give you the perspective of how actually dark it is in those hollers. And it was spooky dark. Well, this is the first time he had gone out without the crew, without all of us, to Rogersville, Tennessee. So she's like, oh, yeah, we got the cameras. And they came up on the house, all three of them. And I'm thinking, well, we usually ride 4 because Mom's usually driving. And I'm sorry, but lady, I'm sitting here right here in Florida. Like, as soon as I heard that out of her mouth, I went live. And I'm like, hello, I'm in Florida. I didn't get back here this quickly. Like, you're saying that you have video footage of JLR and 2 other people with him. By the way, he was by himself. So clearly she doesn't have receipts. She always talks about these receipts she has. And she even went as far as to say, I've already turned him over to law enforcement.
That's what she keeps talking about. You guys, okay, so that's who she means. You guys trespassed on her property. And I'm like, what?
Which
when?
he never did once. And even when JLR was driving, he stayed on the main road. He is not getting out, going into somebody's yard in pitch black dark in the hollers of Tennessee. It just isn't happening.
Jody Sue, like, this is why. Why do creators always have to record everything? This is why. It's for covering their ass too, for when suspects want to go and lie on people.
Yeah, that's why we always have our cameras rolling. Always.
Oh my gosh, we have to suffer through a little more of her. Okay, here we go.
Wait a minute. You're sure law enforcement knows?
Not you, Emma.
I'm sure law enforcement knows. Well, I'm sure they probably don't know, so why haven't you told them?
Right.
Like, you've spoken to them, so why haven't you told them that you have receipts and that you can show for definite that that's what was going on? Because you're getting on YouTube every single day in order to just waffle on and barely say much of anything. Dropping bombshells like this 12 months into the case after Summer's been missing for 12 months. And you're sure, well, you think, that the TBI are aware of this.
He had known Summer was also being abused, and he hid it from everybody, including me.
So he knew, Andy knew. He must have admitted then, maybe, I don't know. But apparently he knew that Summer was getting essayed next door at 110.
And he was very much selling drugs to the children at 110. And to Candace for those children.
So you do know it was happening. You know what was going on next door.
Now, what all that was, I don't know. But I do know it was happening. And I very much think it plays a role in what was happening to other little girls over there.
Yep, so this is where we get into other little girls over there. Now, we know, as we've just said, that there is only one girl, should I say, at that address. But we've seen photos of other little girls playing there, and one of them was Summer's little friend. Now, as far as I'm aware, I've got to be very careful how I work.
What'd you say?
I said, look how she's standing right there. She's kind of
she's kind of hunched a little.
Yeah, it's a little odd position.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I just noticed that.
A lot of people have pointed that out. It does look odd. So I don't know if she's just like maybe like messing. Yeah, with the picture, it's hard to tell, but I did.
It's almost like she's hurt, and
yeah.
I don't know. You take a lot from pictures because it may have just been as she was standing up or something, but it just doesn't feel
like her back is maybe hurt or something. Yeah, that's terrible.
With this, so let's just see what she's got to say about this first.
And I very much do think that it could be part of why Summer looked so asleep. Is maybe possibly Candace giving her the shit Andy was selling to her.
when she first come on the scene, she was protecting Candace. Oh, Candace is a good mom. Oh, Candace, like she was kissing Candace's butt, remember? Now that's turned to you knew Candace was buying from your baby daddy and drugging her children and essaying
Oh,
her.
she's such a great mother. And if she calls that a great mother, it makes you want to wonder what kind of mother is Jody Sue Brown.
Yeah, I mean, that does raise alarming questions since we all know she is a mother, and it's oh god, so many children have been failed by all of these people, and I consider even Allison's kids failed. Like all of these children involved that we have met through Summer's disappearance it's just terrible to see all of the neglect and abuse in every which way in every family that we've come across here.
I'm going to refresh if I can. I don't know if it's good. I got to refresh.
Okay. Oh shit, I almost booted myself. BullHorn, your internet is glitching. Oh, yep. She's gonna come back. Jody Sue looks guilty. Yeah. She looks and sounds guilty. Absolutely. She didn't like the Wells children at all. Yeah, she does talk about harming children and the Wells children and kids that would trespass onto her property and be loud and noisy. Yeah, she said horrible things about children. Doesn't Jody Sue talking about Andy break the protective order? Okay, so I'm going to try and answer that. If Jody Sue has the protective order against Andy, then it just means Andy cannot contact her or like go on her social media and harass her. Now, it does not mean she cannot in return do that. She can have a protective order on Andy and she can call and text and annoy Andy all she wants, unless Andy also puts a protective order on Jody Sue. That's how it works. Unfortunately, I have experience with that because my abusive ex got an order of protection on me because I caught him drinking, and part of his bail for a different assault case was he wasn't supposed to be drinking. I got a call from someone who caught him at a bar drinking. So I called and police showed up to arrest him. Meanwhile, because I knew where he was and what he was eating and drinking, he went to the courts and told them that because I lived 3 hours away from him, round trip, that I must be stalking him. And he was in fear for his life because I knew what bar and grill he was at and what he was eating and drinking. So they gave him a order of protection on me because he said I was stalking him. Now, that did not stop him from contacting me and harassing me further, but I was not allowed to say anything back to him or text him or do anything or have any kind of contact with him whatsoever. But it would be the same if I was to go and get a OFP on him. Then it would be both ways. But no, Tennessee is probably different than Minnesota, but that's how it works in Minnesota is if one has the order, then it'll go like that. So like she can harass Andy if she has it on Andy all she wants, but you know, Andy cannot have anything to do with it. It is crazy. It's wrong, but that's how the system works. Welcome back.
Sorry about that. I had to go to my cell phone. There's something glitchy going on with my internet on my computer, so I'm just on my Wi-Fi on my phone. So hopefully it lasts. We'll see.
Well, we've been going almost an hour. I want to see if anyone has, because there's a lot I want to get to with you, but I'd like to do it probably on a different show because there's a lot. Like I want to know about Gabby Petito stuff, like how you came across doing that. But I do have a couple questions, of course, keeping with the Wells and Browns and stuff. I'm curious what the energy was when you were there in person, because I'm convinced, like I've said it, you cannot spend 5 minutes or even 30 seconds even on a phone with these people and hang up from a conversation and think that these are good people. So I'm just curious, since you were there face to face with them, and I know you've talked about it and you put stuff out, but like, what was just the energy, even being in Hawkins County, but around such, I'm sorry, terrible people?
Well, it was weird. I mean, we were we were kind of fish out of water, but we had strategically planned our strategy out. We had a 12-hour drive. Olivia, Jonathan, Mom, and myself were all in a vehicle. We were able to strategically plan who we needed to speak to, where we needed to go. We went over all the possibilities of the disappearance with Summer Wells. And because of that, I believe that we really, like, our December trip was just a home run. I mean, we covered everything that we wanted to cover, even with all the opposition we had. Benny Keys coming in from out of town, having a big hoopla when all we were doing is just, spectating, so to speak, looking at the property. We didn't go on anybody's property. Some people may say, well, MGL went to the barn or to the shed. Well, nobody was there. There was nothing there. I mean, she didn't take anything. She looked. So what? Don Wells was well aware of it. And as far as I'm concerned, he's the owner of that property. So it doesn't matter whether Candace was approval was there or not, or Benny Keys' approval was there or not. Don Wells knew we were there, and he didn't kick up a fuss. So we were in the clear.
Don had actually talked to me at that time, and he was like, I'm just going to invite them over. I'm just going to tell them to come on over. And I think he did do that, right? He was like, come on over.
It wasn't until our January trip that he actually invited us over. But we couldn't come there with phones. We couldn't come there with cameras. And it was only MGL. And she's like, well, if I can't come there with phones and can't come there with cameras, then, I want BullHorn with me. And so he agreed to that. Then he calls back and says, I want to meet you in a secret location. And I'm like, girl, I will go with you. But man, I am not about to go put myself in danger, and meet this guy that could potentially be responsible for the disappearance of his child in a dark alley somewhere with no phone to call for help and no recording device. I have a little recorder. Many people don't know, but I usually wear it everywhere I go. It sticks in my bra. It can record up to, I think, 10 hours. It's 16 gigs of memory on it. So, I've got to take this stuff off, but no matter where I'm at, I always have, and that's for my protection. That is for my protection. If anything ever happens to me, they will find a recording device on my body that will tell them everything. We put ourselves in danger. I mean, at the end of the day, going up to these people, talking to strangers, going in the backwoods of Tennessee where there's no cell service. Believe me, we put our lives in danger to cover some of these cases, whether people believe that or not. It is just the name of the game.
You do. I mean, with Courtney's case, we are able to be boots on the ground, but I have mingled in, they say you don't go up against Texas. I've messed around with New York, Texas, Ohio, and you absolutely put yourself in danger when you are doing these things. So I've had my share of threats from some I had prison priests threatening to chop me up in little pieces. It got wild at one point.
Yeah.
But Don had in October before his arrest, wanted me to come out there and stay. I was supposed to go out there with Benny and stay at the house with them for a few days. And I was like, oh, so I was like, okay. So I was like, yeah, okay. And then I was like, well, then I started thinking about it. I'm like, well, Mr. Cher couldn't go at that time. The COVID restrictions were like crazy. And for Canadians and crossing the borders and that. And so I was like, okay, well, what I'm not going to go do is run off to Tennessee with Benny, with my husband's not even able to go, right? Because that'll just give the YouTube something to talk about. And then I'm like, Don, I don't think I should stay at your house. Like, I'm not sure I could sleep knowing your wife is probably going to be hovered over me or trying to strangle me or something. Like, I had these conversations. I said, I can't sleep there. I don't trust your wife. Really, I didn't trust any of them. But I was like, okay, well, let me back out of this. This is just not a good situation. It got all kinds of weird because he was really like, no, never mind, Candace. Just come here. Come stay here. And it got to a point where he was talking about like people living on the property. I mean, Benny could have moved there if he wanted to. And I'm pretty sure if I would have said, hey, can I live there on a chunk of land? He'd been like, yeah, come on over. Like that's the point I got to. It was wild.
Well, and I just want to, that is the way that house has been, right? We heard of the revolving door. I'm sorry, but he didn't know you from Adam, and he didn't know Benny from Adam. And here he is already offering you guys a place to stay around his young children without even knowing who you are.
Yep. Well, all the kids would have been gone by then, but even still, like you said, we don't know each other like that. And he would get so pissed. If you listen back, I called their house a flop house a few times. And one of the times I remember Don was like, no, fuck YouTube, I'm not coming on. And as soon as I mentioned a flop house and I was live, he was blowing me up. How could you? You need to go and say this is not a flop house. And how could you say that?
That's kind of a word of what I would call that house.
Yeah.
Trap house would be more of an appropriate word.
Does anyone find it strange that allegedly Summer went missing and Candace is drinking session? Something happened quick. Well, I mean, yeah, Don told me, and I've been slowly showing text messages that the police bought alcohol there that night while they were reporting Summer missing. They brought alcohol to Candace. If you believe that, I don't know, but that's what he told me.
Yeah, as law enforcement, I would have probably said, maybe this is not the time to be drinking. You're going to have polygraph tests at this juncture, so you might want to sober up.
Yeah,
something of that nature. But I still find it odd, and I don't believe that the date that Don gave as to the date that Candace passed her polygraph, I don't believe it was that date. I don't believe it was only 3 or 4 days after, because we have an article by WJHL that just said, we just learned from Don Wells today, entering into the second week of this investigation, that Candace has passed her polygraph test, which would have meant that it was day 8 of the investigation when she passed that polygraph test, not 3 or 4 days.
Yeah, no, that actually adds up better, because he told, I'm not sure if he's probably said this all over, but he did tell Mark and I that she went to take a test, failed because she was tired of something. Then she went to take another test, something happened. Then she had to wait 3 or 4 days and then come back. So yeah, it was definitely like into week 2 that at least the third test or whatever was done.
Right.
But I don't think that they passed. They can tell Don and Candace they passed all they want, but we haven't heard from law enforcement they passed. And
the only close thing we came was Brian Inton saying Ronnie Lawson stated that they passed. But I want to see that coming out of law enforcement's lips, not a news reporter's lips. And I have all the respect in the world for Brian Inton. But law enforcement can use the news to manipulate a situation, which they've done many times before.
Oh, yeah. Ronnie loves to do that. I'm convinced that Ronnie loves to do that. What do you think about, let me see if I can find it. I think I put it on a community post. I think I kind of caught Don kind of admitting that his boss and his boss's wife, Tucker Drywall, Richard Tucker, I don't think that they are actually an alibi for him.
Well, it's funny because, he was on Marissa's channel once before, and he said something to the effect of, I've got 7 alibis, you've got none, you're going down. And he may even have called her a B. You're going down. And when we went out there and we talked to the people out there, they were none the wiser, and they didn't come out and say, well, he was here all day until the nighttime at work. You would think that somebody that witnessed him being there would have said he could not have had any possibility of doing anything with his daughter, because he was here all day with us working until 6:30 at night when he got the call.
Mhm.
None of that did we hear out of their mouth. As a matter of fact, when we first got there, we kind of had a verbal confrontation with them because they were hot. And it's like, wait a minute. Did you know this? Did you know this? Did you know this? And when they finally heard it, I think they started connecting the dots because their tone came way down.
Mm.
And even the woman, because there was a brother and a sister out there, and she's like, well, if he did that, that MFer needs to be in jail, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because they were upset you were there
Yes.
at first. Yep. So he says my boss's wife is believing all this. Well, why would she believe it if her husband can just say, no, he was at work, right? And vouch for him. But then there's,
Yeah.
I also have, I caught him on a clip. I can't remember. Did I post it? Oh, right here.
It's bad, like I say, bad enough that my daughter's gone, and then all that stuff added on to it. It's been real crazy, you know. And because of all this stuff on Facebook, you know, even my boss has questioned people. You know,
Like what? Why is his boss questioning him if his boss should be able, I thought was an alibi. Why is his
Yeah.
boss
And if he knew
questioning
he was
him?
at that job all day.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm convinced he wasn't there. I'm convinced because he did that to me so often. I can't talk right now. I'm at work. I'm going to call you at such and such time. And then he would forget because he'd be trolling the YouTubes and someone would say something to piss him off, usually Chris McDonough. And then he would video call me. I lived on video call and he would forget that he told me he was at work. Well, dude, I know what the inside of your house looks like. And I see Candace sitting there like you're in your underwear while you're calling me, like you're not at work. So what the fuck? So I'm convinced he was not at work that day.
Yeah. And if his if his boss is questioning his alibi, because again, JLR reached out to Tucker Drywall, and what's his name? Not his son's name, Richard Tucker, responded back to him and basically told him that he's already given his statement to the FBI. So he wouldn't state one way or another whether he was an alibi, but if his own boss is questioning him, then I don't think he told the FBI what Don needed him to tell him. I really don't.
Right.
And, you know, there's been a lot of allegations, you know, because he is a drywaller. But the thing with Don is he doesn't hang drywall. He doesn't like hanging drywall.
Right.
I don't know if he knows how to properly hang drywall. He is a drywall finisher, totally different skill sets. And I would assume that somebody that can finish drywall should know how to hang it. But, you know, I'm not going to split hairs on that. But people have always wondered, could he have put her behind a wall? And I'd have to say that, you know, you remove a piece of drywall with the drywall screws, you put it back in the same place, put the drywall screws back in it before you finish that wall. It would be very simple to do. Did it happen? I'm not alleging one way or another. I'm just telling the audience, I did drywall. I know how to do drywall. I've done drywall repair. I've done drywall hanging. I've done drywall finishing. I've done drywall texturing. You know, it is not a hard process. As a matter of fact, in a bare house that just has drywall hung and taped, it would probably take you maybe 10 minutes or less. And I'm giving this a lot of, some considerable lead time. 10 minutes to get that, to cut the tape and unscrew that drywall. And probably another, I don't know, it's going to be a little bit longer. So I'd give it about another 15 or 20 minutes to put that piece of drywall back up and tape it and put that skim coat on the tape. So you're looking at a total of 25 minutes to take a piece down and put a piece back up.
I have definitely had that thought cross my mind, but I like to talk it right back out of my mind by saying I think there would be a smell by now that somebody would have been, like, it would have been found if that was the case. Oh gosh, could you imagine he's done houses everywhere.
And then, but you got to go, if we go back to Dudley's interview, Dudley clearly stated in our interview that there were footers that weren't poured yet. And so, he's even alleged that, could she have been put in one of those footers? And there again, he's on a construction site. This kind of stuff wouldn't be hard, even if it wasn't around the two houses, because predators, in my experience, they they're in their comfort zone. Wherever they're going to go, it's got to be a comfort zone. They're not going to dump a body or, do things of that nature in a area that's not a comfort zone that's going to keep them alarmed. It's going to be someplace that they've known about, they feel comfortable in, that they know how to move around undetected. These are the things that need to take place in order to do something like that. So that's probably why there's a lot of people, keeping in and around that property, because that at the end of the day would be the most comfortable place for them. But they, like Candace was gone that entire day. They have a lot of comfort areas, including that water hole, because apparently they spend a lot of time there. It's secluded. You can get away with partying out there without getting a lot of attention. And you find out that they were there longer than they may have said. So it always made me wonder. And when I came back from Tennessee from the candlelight vigil, I kept wondering, because that information was released after we got back here. And I kept wondering, with them being there for so long, did something happen? And maybe they did something there. And that area hadn't been thoroughly searched, but they say they thoroughly searched the waterways. They've done, searches of the area, but did they, would that have been a primary point of interest? I don't know.
They say they've done all these searches. They say they've done dozens of searches. I know about 3, so I don't know when these dozens of searches took place. I mean, yeah, I kind of don't buy that, but.
And there's so much terrain and so much area to cover. It's just, it truly is a needle in the haystack. I mean, it without a doubt, hands down, trying to find her in that kind of area it's hard.
The Starlink. Okay. 7 alibis. She got upset. Well, yeah. When didn't Candace get upset? Anytime Dawn talked, she was getting upset. Starlink. And then what I had asked, I think I said it right to Candace. I think I posted it. Let me see if I can pull it up. I asked her about why Dawn took the Subaru that day. Right here.
Yeah, it's on I think your August 7th interview, because that's the one I'm stuck on.
No, did I ask in there too? Here's in text
you
to
did.
Candace. I said, Don took the Subaru so that you wouldn't be tracked on June 15th, huh? So he actually would have been aware of the events that were about to happen. I said, I heard about your domestic issue last week. Sure hope you're all right there. Summer is still missing. And she doesn't say anything about that except for when Don started texting me again, because, he'd wait like 5 days, or the most was 2 weeks, to make Candace calm down before reaching back out to me again. He just couldn't stop reaching out to Cher, which I loved because it pissed everybody off so bad. And yeah, it was stop sucking his dick. Like, doesn't even mention this part at all, or say I'm a lying bitch. She loved every opportunity to try and put me down, but she totally just ignored that for 2 days and then told me to stop sucking his dick. Like, what does that mean? So and
you know what? This is a woman that has lost her child, and instead of going after you and saying we didn't effing do anything with our freaking kid, that's the kind of language you get from a woman that is missing her child.
Yeah,
just a shame.
Everything she was worried about it shouldn't have been. In fact, she tried to make me upset and make me jealous by reaching out to Mr. Cher, texting him, pretending she didn't know it was my husband, which is bullshit, Candace. And anyways, just everything she was worried about was not proper behavior, like at all. If you do the channel, The Misery Machine, you can show your audience what some parents do to their missing children. Oh, yeah. We all know in the back of our minds what happens to a lot of these missing children, you guys. It's terrible. And they do not have the proper behavior whatsoever. None of them do. I, for the most part, do think that Don, I think he still doesn't fully know everything, but he knows because he definitely helped in the aftermath. But there's a part of me that thinks that this is more Candace and Grandis driven because of my experience behind the scenes and knowing and hearing Candace and Grandis and their friends making a plan to make sure it's Don that ends up in jail. So that just makes me feel.
And not only that, but I say this, and I've said this before, there are, two people that are associated with another disappearance, and one that comes to mind. Grandis has been a part and around both her daughter and her granddaughter's disappearance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now that's speculative. Of course it's speculative, but you flip a dime and figure out how many families have had one person just poof off the earth, but to have two unsolved disappearances a decade apart, there's literally, if we can prove that Candace was in the area when her sister disappeared, I would say it's both Candace and Grandis. But if it was just Grandis, that is a link in and of itself, in my opinion.
Yeah. And we had Rose Bly's ex-husband, Christopher Larson, whatever his last name is, join us in chat one night. And he was saying, like, Grandis is not allowed around any of her grandchildren. Like there's problems there. Even Rose's car was found closer, like a block away from Grandis's house. And that's.
She looks mean. She looks like a nasty woman. I'm sorry. She just doesn't look like a loving, adoring grandmother.
No, there's something not right there. Don always told us that she was the smartest one out of everybody, which kind of rubbed me the wrong way because I'm like, the way, like, Don would privately tell me that he hates that bitch and they'd bump heads all the time. But then when it was anything like publicly or speaking publicly about, he would like kiss her ass in an odd way. So almost like, I'm like, okay, so is Grandis an upper? Is she a madame? Like, I don't know. There's something wrong there. But if you know the Vera Jo Regal case, I almost wonder now, because they had a family member that was pushed into train tracks and died from basically being murdered in train tracks. And then years later, they wanted to kill this girl, Vera. And they set it up to look exactly like that and pushed her in.
And what was her last name? Vera Jo
Regal. And it was in Ohio. It's about, I think, 11-year-old case now. If you Google Sugar Bear, right? Was that it, guys? Sugar Bear? Sugar Babe? Sugar Babe. Google Sugar Babe. That case comes right up.
Okay.
Sherry Brooks.
I don't write with my left hand, but I'm having to write with my left hand because I'm holding the phone with my right.
I did a live last week comparing the two because it's so fucked up. If you watch it, it's the most brutal case I think I've ever come across because so much abuse happening to this girl, and again, nobody did anything. And the one grandest of the case, who looks just like Allie, is the ringleader of it all.
Yeah.
And it's just terrible. And so it got me thinking with the Summer case, let's say there is no connection. I don't believe in coincidences like that, especially when Candace called me freaking out, telling me that I said she stabbed her sister, and those words never left my mouth. So it made me feel like Candace was releasing some kind of guilty tension or something, because I never said those words. I never ever said Candace stabbed her sister in the trunk of a car. So why did she call me freaking out and saying these things? I don't know. I'll never know, I guess. But yeah, I think that maybe did they do this because they see, well, they're still looking for Rose's abduction. We can just say it was an abduction, or she's missing because it happened with Rose and it didn't lead anywhere. So we can do it again with Summer and we'll get away with it. Possibly. It is possible. Now that I've seen this other case, you know, but oh, it's terrible. We can't say it enough. This case is terrible.
Yeah.
Everybody involved.
But you know what? I still, and people always said I came down on law enforcement, and it wasn't really law enforcement as much as it was the prosecutor. You know, why aren't they bringing, and I always talk about it on my channel, the low-hanging fruit. You know, I looked through the child neglect and child endangerment penal code, you know, and what would describe that, what would cause something like that to go forward in the court systems in Tennessee, and they meet that criteria. And so it makes me wonder, why in the world would they still be out? Why haven't those, you know, we're looking at like the Cody Bigsby case in Virginia, and you know, like Harmony Montgomery, they're not waiting for charges of, you know, related to the disappearance. They're charging with unrelated crimes to keep them in jail.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me wonder why Tennessee is not doing the same thing. Why are they letting these people out when they know for a fact that these children were endangered? They would not have removed these children from that home unless they were endangered or neglected.
Right. I don't get it either. And I just don't get it. A part of me wondered if they don't do it because of Barry Morphew. Like, I almost wonder, you know, because he's that's a whole nother thing. But, you know, they let him out free because they can't really hold him on these without the evidence. And Don told me, and he's even, I think, said it to, I want to say Chris McDonough, but Don told me, I had a conversation with Don once, and I said, don't ever tell people what Summer really went missing in the outfit she was really missing. Again, people come for me for saying that, but I wanted to get his actual reaction, because the reaction should be, well, it's already out there. We all know what she went missing in. Great. The black pants, pink sweater, whatever, right?
Yeah.
That was not his response to me. His response to me was, okay, we won't. Okay, good call. We won't. Again, that made him feel like I have his back, and he's, you know, okay, Cher's looking out for me. But that also put off red flags to me. Like, maybe we don't know what she was really wearing, you guys, because why was that his reaction? But he said right after that,
say, okay, good thought. Let's not tell people what she was really wearing when she went missing. It's
fucked up. And then he went on to say that same conversation is, they're never going to find the evidence because there isn't any. They're never going to find any evidence because there isn't any. But the way he said they're not going to find the evidence, that all I heard was the evidence. There's evidence. Yeah. And I just, that will always play over and over in my head, because I'm like, that's when I said the quote everyone gives me shit for. I know that they know, or they know that I know that they know. I still stand by that.
And I still have a funny feeling, you know, they beat up the YouTubers. It was nice that Leslie Earhart did come out and, you know, say that we realize there are people that are truly trying to help, which, you know, made a lot of us, you know, we're not all bad people out here. We are trying to find the truth. But I have a funny feeling, you know, when this case does come to fruition, and when they finally, if and when, I'm going to say if, because we still haven't found Summer, if and when Don and Candace are arrested, I truly believe that the work that the YouTube creators have done with all the different stories that they have set online will actually benefit this case at some point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so. I do think that it's possible we see YouTube content used against them in a court of law. I hope that happens. So, I mean, they're recorded statements. That's why a lot of people, when setting up interviews with me, ended up backing out. Like, his coworkers will text me and tell me, he was at work from 8 to 5:30. Okay, well, let's get that on a recording. Oh, no call. No more responding to Cher now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a reason for that too, you guys. And it's because it is a statement then. It can be used.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. People are definitely
I could just
scared
go on
of
and
being involved in a case like this, but at the end of the day, you know, it's nobody asked for this. You know, there's a lot of, and I always talk about it, there's a lot of Wells victims out there. And we're not talking about the people that they fought with, the people, you know, the kids. We're talking about people that they've, you know, drug into this. They pointed the fingers at. They've turned their lives completely upside down at the hands of the Wells because they're pointing the finger at everyone else.
Everyone but themselves, or even each other. That's Don has made statements leading me to believe he was not at work all day. No, there's no way he was at work. I don't believe that. And again, I can't say that's facts. I can just go on what my feelings are from my experiences with Don. And I do not believe he was at work that day. If he was at work, he came home early. And I think that's exactly why he called Candace. Like, where are you guys?
And I found it odd that, you know, Hunter would make this claim early on that Candace had said the boys went to work with their father. Like, why would he lie about that? You know, he wasn't trying to ruffle feathers. He was actually trying to calm them down and stick to a script. But I think, you know, some of the questions he let it out that the boys were, and it would make sense because, you know, he had just fired Dudley Ajan just the day before, and he may needed that extra help, you know, even if it's just mudding those screw holes. You know, he would have needed that extra help. And I can see him taking the boys, which he has trained in the past that have worked on the jobs with him. He's said it many times in the past that those boys have come to work with him.
Yeah.
Especially Josie. You know, Josie was the older one. Dudley even caught him smoking marijuana with Josie and told him, you got to get that out. I don't want to be fired because somebody sees you smoking with your son. And the idea that, you know, and Josie left and went with him to Utah. I'm sure Josie worked with him and learned that trade. So it wouldn't be uncommon for them to go to work with him. But they were home when Candace got home. And so how did they get back home? If we take Hunter's, you know, that portion of Hunter's story is true.
Yeah. Well, Don has told us that he did switch his stories, because I remember the first conversation I had with him. I remember telling everyone the boys were at work with him because that's what he had told me. But then I remember on one of those
actually told you that?
He told me the boys were at work with him. That was the original story we heard. And then it changed because on one of the interviews that we did live, I asked him, I said, so you said that you called Candace and everybody was doing whatever. So you were just going to stay at work late instead of go home to, like, why go home to just be alone when you could work? And I said to Don, I said, well, would you be alone though? Because weren't the boys with you? So wouldn't the boys be with you? So you wouldn't be alone, right? And then that's when it all changed. And at the time, I was like a deer in headlights doing all this, and I should have grilled on that more. But that's when everything changed, and it was, no, the boys were left at home and yada, yada, yada. But that's not how it started. It started with the boys were with him. And you'll see on one of those interviews it's recorded on there. I said, so you wouldn't have been home alone. You would have had the boys with you. You wouldn't have been alone. And I can't even remember everything he said after that. But that's when it was all different stories.
When the script changed, when they realized they couldn't use that anymore because she had already told everybody that the boys were there waiting for her to undo the groceries, to help with the groceries. And that's when they realized there was an error in their script.
Yep.
And how quickly that was erased.
You're not blocked. Crimes have consequences. Thank you for that, by the way. And thank you for the super chats, guys. I missed a couple, but I don't like to interrupt if I can't. If there's no delay and people are just talking, I like to let them just talk.
You're much better host than me. I just talk over people. Like, hey.
Sometimes I do it, like if it's important to get out, but I wanted to hear a lot. Like there's all kinds of crazy questions I could ask you. So I definitely want to have you on again. I guess one that I'm curious of, which I go by like energy, and you guys know I believe in some psychics. I believe in some gifts, but around everywhere you've been in Hawkins County, which place had the most Summer's energy At what
I
area?
can tell you there was 2 places and 2 places only that felt very dark and deep for me. And one was the vibe I got standing out in the road on BenHill Road. I mean, it was just everybody I have talked to that has gone and visited that talks about how they felt. Like it's almost like everybody feels the same vibe. But, a few creators want to say, oh, no, 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 But the people like I trust White Rabbit. She felt it. I trust the people I was with, when we were doing all the interviews and stuff like that, our team. I trust their instinct. They felt it. Dolly Vision has been out there. He's felt it. Stinton has the soup, has been out there. So there's been multiple creators that have come back and told me that, they felt this evil, dark vibe on BenHill Road. And I have to concur with that. And then the other place that we felt extreme emotion to the point that MGL actually broke down crying was at that water hole. When we first went there in December, she's like, no. She was in tune. I was like, yeah, no, I wouldn't mind swimming out here. I did get in that lake and it was disgusting. It stunk. There was crap all under your feet. It hurt my feet. The 2 other people that went in the water with me, Tammy from Illinois and Dolly Vision, they both had shoes on, like water shoes. So I was the only one out there, commando, so to speak. There's nothing on my feet. And they're like, be careful. We saw glass here just yesterday, broken glass. And so I'm kind of shuffling my feet, but not, because that's what you do. In the seawater, you shuffle your feet so you don't get stung by stingrays. And I'm thinking, I can't shuffle my feet because what if there's a glass here? I'm slicing my foot wide
or
open.
a needle or
so
something.
I'm just kind of stepping, and every time I step, I sunk into this gunk. It was gross. It was just, it stunk so bad when you started kicking up all that. I don't know why she was there swimming. There were so much more pleasant places to swim in that area. I just don't, even people that went out there, they never got in the water. They would fish, they would walk the trails, but nobody got in that water. Like, I felt like I needed a Clorox bath.
Yeah, I was watching that. It looked pretty bad. Alex Erickson was there too. She said that she definitely felt that vibe. And I feel it. I feel like you can sense it virtually, even, you guys. So I get that. BullHorn Betty, what vibes did you get around Allison? Good question.
To be honest with you, when we met with Allison, her mother, I think the other girl's name was Leslie, and and Allison's grandmother. To be honest with you, when we were out there, I felt like they were being truthful about the majority of the stuff we were talking about and the majority of the stuff that they stated to me. Yeah. I personally felt that Allison was in denial about the relationship between Hunter and Candace because it was her friend. Even if you have a blowout with your friend, you still don't think they would violate your trust in that way. And in me personally I don't believe that she knew about it and condoned it. I don't believe that because she was pretty emotional when I asked the question. Yeah. But I truly, because her grandmother and her mother were like, yep, we believe it. She was like, no, the typical, I'm not going to listen to this. No. You could tell she was fully in denial.
Yeah, I could tell that with that. That's the one video where it did seem like they were a little more open and free with information. And Allie did take off on it. She was like, I don't want to hear this. But I mean,
she wasn't mad at me. She was mad at her mom for piping up and saying, yes, we believe it. Like immediately, as soon as it left my mouth, Mom and Grandma were on. Yep.
Well, Candace did the ultimate no.
Yeah.
Slept with her friend's kid and her friend's boyfriend. That's like, just like, how many lines can Candace fly across?
And the fact she had her children over there, she had her daughter over there. She, had these, I'm sure they may have thought maybe something was happening between the kids, but never once considered something was happening between the adults and children. And I just think she was purely in denial. But as far as a vibe, like, I didn't really get a bad vibe from any of them while I was there. Did I think she was being 100%? No, but I don't believe anybody's really 100%. Like they have their truths. Their truths is their perception. In perception is subjective. So I really just don't, there's always their side, the other side, and then there's the truth. We all talk about these three sides of the story, and it has to do with perception. And again, that is subjective in some cases.
Allie's mom about the kids and drugs.
Sherry actually addressed this and said that they told the people that it was Candace that was giving them that. Now it seemed to me that the parents in this area don't really care if their children are drinking, don't really care if the children are smoking, don't really care if the children are partaking in say marijuana type products and stuff like that. But
would you say that's more the culture in that area? Is that more the culture of that area, do you think?
I think there's the really good people, and then there's the not so good people. Like, they're not bad people. They just live a completely different lifestyle than the rest of them.
Right. Yeah. How did you feel about, I know you talked to a lot of different locals in all of the areas, and what would you say for the most part? I mean, did you get any vibes from any of the locals that maybe were trying to insert themselves, or anyone give you weird vibes that were not related to Summer necessarily or directly, or kind of everyone, I feel like from watching, all kind of pointed at Dawn and Candace? But
yeah, well, I felt that the neighbors around them were pretty open with their disdain of the Wells. I think the one person that I didn't get an opportunity to meet or, have a conversation with was Tim Mullen. But the vibe I get just saying his name is just, it kind of, I don't know how to explain it, just borderline's creepy. And it's not fair, because it's not really fair for me to say that, because again, I've never laid eyes on him. I've never had a personal conversation with him, and I'm judging a book by the cover because I haven't had the opportunity to speak to him. But every time, when I start hearing about Tim Mullen, and I find out that Tim Mullen actually reached out to another case, a mom of another case that I'm covering, which is Michael Monkey Vaughn, it just gives me this weird feeling. And again, it's not based off of any conversation I had. It's just odd for me. And would my thought process changed if I could speak to Tim and get a vibe off of him? And maybe, but that he's just an odd duck. I've watched some of his movies and stuff prior to him, building the site for Summer, and they were just weird. And some of the stuff he's put out on the official Wells website, some of that stuff is weird.
So weird.
Creepy. Weird. So
now, would you expect something, because he's still saying he is the Wells media manager, after something like what Jody Sue recently just aired out? Would you expect to hear something from the Wells media manager after something like that?
Here's the thing. I would feel that if he did come out and say something, then he's almost, in my opinion, because we are so skeptical of everything, that he's actually kind of saying that it's possible. If you ignore it and you say, this chick is just off her rocker, and I'm not addressing it because she's off her rocker and there's no point to address something that's just not true, and he doesn't address it. Honestly, I think he comes out smelling better than addressing the issue in public, because now he's giving her credit. I don't know how I feel about it. I would have probably, if I was in his position, I probably wouldn't have even touched it. I would have let it just roll the way it's rolling. But him being a media manager, I find it odd that he refuses to speak to the media.
Yeah.
That seems to me what a media manager should be doing.
Yeah, wants to hide behind the scenes. And when he's asked any questions, well, bring all your questions to me. And then people do. Like my husband gave him a list of excellent questions. It was
Doesn't
nothing.
answer him, doesn't
No
respond.
answer.
And if you push him too much, you get blocked.
Yeah. Yeah. But he had no problem bashing me to my husband. But I won't do that. That's not respectful to put down another man's wife. Well, that's exactly what you're doing, though. Like, what are you doing? That's just so bizarre to me. I just don't understand that. Like, say it
Right.
to me, Tim. I reached out to him. He told me watch his videos. Yeah, that's the typical response, Alex. That's Betty. What vibes did you get from Don and Candace? I think we know what vibes.
Evil. I looked those people dead in their eyes, and I looked at them after I was done, and I said, "You know, we know, you know."
Mm-hmm.
You know, at the end of the day, you know, we know. Period.
Yeah.
As they're packing up to leave, as they're fleeing the job. So, and I'm sorry, I looked them dead in their eyes, and not only did I look them dead in their eyes, their coworkers are watching their odd behavior because of us. And I think that they finally got to see them, you know, with this, because a lot of people don't realize that what you saw on YouTube with Don talking nice and calm and all this stuff, that is not the real Don Wells. The real Don Wells is a very aggressive person that has to be in charge of the household and everyone in that household. And when he loses control, he loses his shit. People don't understand that because they are not looking at his pattern of behavior, his past pattern of behavior. A leopard doesn't change its spots. You've got criminal conduct from 1983, violent criminal conduct up to just 2022, when people on January, when yet again, law enforcement is coming to his house because of a physical altercation between him and his wife. That's the real Don Wells. The lady that wants to blow Allie's effing head off and has the neighbor guy not coming down the road without having a side piece on, that's the real Candace. These people that you've been seeing on YouTube are not the people that are really behind that curtain. That is a facade. Even in their worst times on YouTube is an understatement to who they are as people in the real world, not being under scrutiny.
Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, I'll never forget when I was just waiting for it. What he really did, like, I knew Don's mask would eventually fall, but I was also shocked at how long he held it up, because then I started questioning myself. Well, maybe you're just an asshole, Cher. Like, maybe you're just so jaded and with, everything. And no, sure as shit, as soon as we bring up, well, Don, like, this is the first time you're bringing up lots of money and drugs involved, the whole Mexican mafia cartel, when that all came out. Totally different. And you guys know, like, for months, I was not allowing. They were a whole different person when interviewing on our channels. Anyways, he had his mask on and he held it on for a long time until all of a sudden it just fucking whoop. And I remember telling him, Don, don't talk to me the way that you're talking to me. You don't talk to me like that. Because he would be like, he went from, like, he loves me, to Cher, you cunt, and all this. I'm like, excuse me, Don. I was like, no, you do not talk to me like that. And I don't think that he was used to a female butting back like that. Because I told Don, I was like, you do not talk to me like that. Who the hell are you? Like, you will not. And I would tell him all the time, excuse me, Don. And I kind of act stupid with him. Like, really? You don't mean that. Like, what are you doing, Don? You're talking to me. Like, and then he'd kind of simmer down. But I honestly think he was not ever used to a female, like, saying, you do not talk to me like that.
Yeah, he actually called here one night. It was, I want to say, like, the day I got back from the January trip. I think it was like January 13th, 14th, or 15th, somewhere around that time. And he called here at literally 11:30 at night. I stayed on the phone with him until like 1:30 in the morning. I was exhausted. You guys know I'm not a night owl. I am an early bird. I go to bed really early, but I heard the phone ringing. I looked at it. It was Don's number. I picked it up. And so I was talking to him, and I was every time he kept talking in circles almost. Like you could tell he was drunk. Candace says it was already passed out, so he had needed somebody to speak to. And so I was sitting there talking to him, and I kept trying to direct the conversation to June 15th, what happened on June 15th. And he went off saying, I'm trying to interrogate him. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of am, Don, because you know what I'm doing here. I'm trying to find your daughter. I want to know what you know. I said, of course, I'm going to ask you questions. That is the only reason why I'm having this conversation with you. You F and C, you F and N, you B. It just went. I'm like, Don, there's no reason to talk to me like that. Why are you calling here? You know what my objective is when I talk to you. So if you know what my objective is when you call me, then give me what you know I want to hear. I want to know. I don't care about Candace being passed out on the couch. I don't care about that. What I care about is what happened on June 15th.
Mm-hmm. How about when you were there at all? Did you ever run into them while you were looking for Summer? Did you ever see Don and Candace out there looking as well?
Oh, they've never looked. We've asked their neighbors. We've asked their friends. We've asked the people in their circle. They told us the only thing that they did was go to a few candlelight vigils that they had when she first disappeared, which, again, a lot of people equate to, death and things of that nature, mortality. And I asked them, well, did they go out and hand out flyers? They said no. I said, did they formulate search parties? They said no. This is corroborated by multiple people.
Yeah. And I can vouch for that. You guys know, like I said, I lived on video call with this man or on the phone. Never in 10 and a half months of being on video did I ever see them out looking. In fact, there was never any inclination of them looking until I had the conversation several hours before he got caught looking for Summer. And that whole, he was talking to another girl. That was all staged AF, because I had the conversation with him. Like certain things that happened, like I'll never forget him talking about, we need to do a prank. And then all of a sudden, the whole thing with Mary called, like it was just a trip, like witnessing, like hearing things and then witnessing what they ended up doing. I was just like, what the fuck are you doing? Like,
and who is thinking of pranking people when they have a 5-year-old child missing?
Right.
That would be the furthest thing from my mind. And what kind of solidified this issue with the Wells was actually from Allie when she told us that Candace and Grandis showed up at their house on June 17th, 2 days after Summer disappeared, to find out what Hunter said to TBI. That was the biggest red flag of them all. What do you care about what one 15-year-old tells TBI when your child is missing? You've got more time to go over there and question him about what he said to TBI as opposed to getting your ass out there to search for your own missing child.
Mm-hmm.
That was what sealed the deal for me. Who does that? Not normal people.
No, nothing that they've done. No behavior they've had in the last over a year has been normal behavior. It mimics the John Benet Ramsey case, the parents. I'm sorry, something's off there. It's even worse.
It was off, but they did clear the parents many years later. At least they cleared the mom. I don't know if they ever cleared the dad. I think they cleared both of them.
Yeah, I think they did get cleared, but even worse than how their behavior is. But I guess, you can't really go off behavior, but everything they've done, like calling the police on you guys for going there and looking for Summer, but not calling, like I'll repeat it over and over. You would not get me away from that police station.
Yeah.
And they gave up so soon, like they weren't looking for her. Like, why are you not parked at that police station or the TBI building? Like they'd have to be... They would have to put me in a jail cell or something just to get rid of me from their offices, because if grandkid or daughter, I'd be the same.
Yeah, and then there's another nuance to that too. Remember when Ronnie Lawson came out on March 1st and said that bombshell information that they're not cooperating and they've lawyered up, and then Grandis went on that WJHL interview. She was asked when's the last time you reached out to law enforcement, and she changed it. She answered the question she wanted her to ask by saying, well, law enforcement hasn't reached out to us. Well, since those YouTubers are down at the bottom of the driveway,
Yeah.
right?
This is like,
And
what
my
the
question
freak?
is what parent or grandparent that has a child missing, a 5-year-old child? She's now 6, but at this time she was still just 5 years old. She had been missing for months. Who does not call? I mean, I've met with families that literally call the law enforcement office every single day, multiple times, to find out what happened to their loved one, every single day. And a prime example is Paola Miranda Rosa. Her family never gave up on her. Her family was calling and driving those law enforcement agents up a wall, trying to find out what happened to their loved one. They formulated search parties. They went out. They were not leaving one stone unturned. They didn't care what law enforcement said. They were going out there to find her sister. And it was very sad to watch. And then you look at somebody like the Wells that decide to stay home and booze it up and get on YouTube and have a party and invite YouTubers up to their house to, again, have a party, because while we were there was not one person out there searching for this little girl except us. But they were all there. They were all up on that mountain. But not one of them, they knew we were there searching. They knew we were there. They were bitching more about us going on property to look at abandoned buildings than they were actually coming out to help us.
Yeah, I would have been like, let's go all meet.
So wrong, then why did they offer or lend their professional services to us?
Yeah, it's all wrong. You two aluminum brains playing Monopoly during a search. Yeah. Well, they never cared about the searches. Don's very first statement about watching EquiSearch out there always made my stomach turn. I feel so bad for them and all limping and blisters. Something about when he said that, I remember looking at my husband like, I do not like just the way he said that.
Yeah, I know. It was in the WJHL interview. I remember exactly.
Yes. And there's just something so creepy about it. It's almost like that.
Why would you apologize to them instead of thanking them?
Yeah, because they knew they weren't in there. And they were getting a kick out of watching them look for her, knowing that she wouldn't be found there. That's my feeling. That's not facts, guys, but that's how I felt.
That's exactly what I got, but that's what I was asking. You would think that somebody would be thanking them, not saying I'm sorry that they had to go out there and search. I saw them limping and, why would you be sorry? Why didn't you say thank you for going out there and finding her? I saw them limping. I mean, why those words of I'm sorry? Because exactly what you said.
Terrible. Yes, red flags for sure, Huda. The resurrection, talking about the resurrection so early on. Yes. And I've seen a couple people like, well, does TBI know what Jody Sue Brown is saying? I mean, I'll email the link of someone else's video where she says it because she's dirty deleted now, guys. But don't forget, law enforcement does watch us. They're watching BullHorn Betty. They're watching anyone who has had any interactions with these people. They are watching. They have stated that. They have told me that time and time again on the phone that they're watching. So if they're watching people like Benny, BullHorn Betty, myself, or Ziggy, bet your ass they're watching suspects like Jody Sue Brown. So don't let that worry you. They are 100%.
And not only that, I'm sure 1,000 people that saw that ended up calling TBI and Hawkins County. They, even though TBI and Hawkins County has said many times, don't call us on tips you've heard on YouTube, I still think because it came out of Jody Sue's mouth, their phones were lighting up. I'm pretty sure. I'm actually almost 50-50 on, I believe she may have even been seen by law enforcement over the comments she made last night.
I was thinking that today too. I told Mark, I'm like, they have to question her now, right? Because that's wild. To answer your question, Patricia, we think it's deleted.
She probably said, "Oh no, that didn't happen. I was just mad." And they're like, "Well, I might want to take it down."
She said today, everyone's bitching that I deleted it, but I didn't delete it. I set it on private. I'm like, oh, okay, something to be proud of. And let's say that's the truth. Why are we privating it? Why are we privating it? Why don't you want people to know that? Why are we putting that on private then?
Because I'm sure
you are an
I'm
idiot.
sure she got her butt handed to her because, quite frankly, that's just disgusting. How can you, if it was true, I have to say if because we're talking about Jody Sue Brown here. If it's true. I mean, and the reason why we even think it's true is because many of us have already speculated those things. And that's why we're automatically believing it coming out of her mouth. It's like almost like finally somebody's saying what we've been believing this whole time. But is it true? I mean, we're talking about Jody Sue here. I have not found one thing that she's been truthful about. I really haven't, except that she smokes cigarettes and her name's Jody Sue Brown.
Yeah, and she does very long lives.
And she stares at the screen endless minutes in her live that almost want to make me beat my head against a hard surface.
Yes. Oh my gosh. If you guys have trouble sleeping at night, just put a Jody Sue Brown live stream on. You will sleep like a baby. I'm not kidding, because I found myself dozing off. I have to be like, she's talking now. And I speed her up like 2 or 3 notches and still get through it.
Well, even that time I was in there, asking her those questions when she was attacking me for even asking a stupid question to her.
Yeah.
It was like the only reason why I wrapped it up is because, one, she was talking in circles and annoying the pee out of me. But secondly, I couldn't handle her.
Yeah.
I mean, you ended up, was it you that sped it up? I think you did speed it up. Yes, because you went on live and you sped it up. And it's like, oh my gosh, she actually sounds normal.
You got to speed her to the 1.5, and then she actually speaks like what a normal pace should be. But even then, it's kind of like, but if you do it to the 1.7, it's too much. She gets a little chipmunky then. So yeah, 1.5 is Jody Sue's sweet spot.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely would love to collab again, and I'll come on anytime you need. And Mr. Cher wants to go on for coffee, but I have so much, I want to ask you about all other cases. I'd love to get into Courtney Struble with you, but I could talk to you for hours.
I actually do want to talk about that case. I saw that you ran with it today. I was actually going to go back and replay it because I can't remember. Oh, I think I was my mom. Mama BullHorn's here. She's helping me clean the X out of the house.
That's right.
It's been over a year since he's been gone, and he lived in that room for 4.5 years before we even split. And it's like, I want my house mine. So I couldn't do it all by myself. It's still a little emotional for me. So Mama BullHorn put her BullHorn boot up BullHorn Betty's butt. It got me in gear.
You have to do something new with that room, something new for yourself. It just make it something you can enjoy now.
Yeah, and we took shelves off the wall. We did, we cleaned. I mean, we took a bunch of stuff to Goodwill, so the room is looking really good. I still have to mop it, but Mom did a great job. She helped me out quite a lot today, and she's quick too, man. I'm like, man, I've been looking at this for a year. Mama's here, a few hours later, the room's cleaned up. It's amazing how moms are.
That's awesome.
I called the right person,
right? Oh, you guys are welcome. Yeah, definitely. So many more questions for her, so we'll definitely be collabing again.
Yeah, and I have no problem. Just let me know. I have to do 8 because I knew we were going to be 2 hours, and it was going to go to 11 on my time. I'll be literally yawning on this phone with you guys, and I don't think you want to see tears of yawn tears coming out of my eyes.
You're right. Yeah. So you're 2 hours later than me. We go to bed at a normal time too. So we're in bed at 10 as well.
Yeah.
So all these people that are streaming all night long, we don't get that because we to go to bed. We sleeper old and stuff.
Yeah, I know. I keep trying to convince myself I'm not getting old, but when I go to bed at 8:30 at night, it's kind of hard.
As long as you're not eating dinner at 3:30, we're not old. That's what Mr. Cher reminds me. One time I was 3:30 or 4, and I'm like, can we just have dinner early tonight? He's like, what are you, 80?
I'll have to remember that. I have to set my alarm.
Yeah.
No, I can only eat after this alarm goes off.
Yeah, eat after 5:30. You're still not old.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much for joining tonight, and I'll definitely.
Bye, guys. I enjoyed it. I had a great time, and absolutely happy to do it again.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, and yeah, I'll be texting you. And if you watched Courtney Struble, what I did last night, I actually went to all of the places she was last at.
I started with you. I just couldn't end it. So I got to go back and replay.
Okay, yeah, just I mean, I have a couple lives from months ago where it's just insane. You can find some stuff online, but yeah, wild. Again, totally treated wrong. 13 years old, family, broken home. They treated her as a runaway for the first 7 months before there was a
Thank God statistics tell us a lot, because if it wasn't for our statistics, then law enforcement wouldn't be making these crucial changes that they need to be making in these types of cases.
That's true.
Statistics are showing us that, these children are endangered. They're, people, and that's why I said, they did that whole monkey, alert or whatever, because they didn't rise to the level of putting them on an Amber Alert. My thing is if a child's missing, just put it out there. It needs to be in front of people as quickly as possible, even runaways.
Yeah.
Because, runaways put themselves in harm's way by accident.
Yes.
So those children have got to be found. If there's a bad home, then we can fix that. We can place them somewhere where they're not on the streets. But, they still are victims out there, whether it's a bad home, things are going on in their life. They still need help before they get into the arms of somebody that can really do damage to them.
Right, because those kids are one of the high risk kids. They're
Very
runaways.
high risk.
They have
Very high risk
damaged
for
background.
trafficking. Very
Yep.
high risk for everything. That's
Yeah.
the age group that they want, is the 12, 13, 14, because they can work.
Yep, they can work, and also let's not turn our eyes to the darkness of the world. They need breeders as well.
And not only can they work, they can be controlled.
Yes, very, very easily. A 13-year-old could be. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're not going to like anything you hear about that story, but I just wanted to. I have a daughter named Courtney, and then the similarities, like you can find similarities in some of the
it hits too close to home for you.
Yeah. So, and she's right. She went missing from right down the road. I could spit on her dad's old house from here. So it's just like, it's terrible, But
but I'll definitely watch it. I'll probably do my live tomorrow. We're going to be doing a couple other things, but I will by tomorrow night be able to watch it through and through.
Oh, awesome.
But I am interested in that case. I actually have you on my list.
Yay, that's awesome.
I have Courtney. I have Courtney on my list. Yeah.
I took her picture down because she's in the truck right now. I took her all around yesterday with me. So.
You're pulling a JLR.
Yeah, I'm learning. Like I said, I'd love for you to come down here and give me a crash course, because we all need to learn from each other, and that's why I'm glad a lot of us are. At first, I think everyone's emotions are so high. There's a little girl, we don't know where she is, and so it's easy to be combative, and then it's like, okay, well, at least a lot of us have learned, and we're like, okay, how can we put our heads together? And that's what Summer would have wanted. That's what Summer needs.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Well, love you guys. God bless you. Have a wonderful evening. BullHorn Betty's going to bed.
All right. Thanks so much. Thank you.
All right, bye, guys.
Bye. All right, you guys, thank you so much. I'm sorry I missed everyone sending in the super chats. I wanted to make sure, because again, I could have stayed on and talking for even more hours, because there's a lot to go in, especially when you get through other cases that she is helped in and put her time in and traveled around for to make a difference and try and get answers. It's a lot. So thank you everyone who sent in super chats. I'm so sorry that if I did not say thank you right when you sent them, but thank you. And to my members, thanks for being a part of the crazy train. Choo choo. And to my awesome mods and the two guest mods for this evening. You'll probably have your lunches next time too. Thank you. I think it was a good chat. I was paying attention what I could. I didn't see much bad in there, so that's really good. So we will see you tomorrow. Mr. is going to do a coffee live because it's Canada's Day tomorrow, so he's not working. And our beloved sister Cotton Candy Boobs sent a package for Mr. Cher, so he's going to have some coffee and chat with y'all and open up his gift that I think he's dying to open, let's be honest, from our Cotton Candy Boobs. So thanks everyone. I had a good time talking. Thank you, BullHorn Betty, and look forward to collabing on many more things as well. Bye y'all. Have a good rest of your night. See you tomorrow.